Welcome to No Magic Bullet podcast series. What's in Your Toolbox is a monthly podcast on mental health. I am your host, Bobby Kay, comedian, mental health advocate, and executive producer of the documentary No Magic Bullet, What's in Your Toolbox, an honest discussion on mental health. I am 70 years young, suffer from Tourette syndrome, and love doing these podcasts that always reminds me to practice what I preach. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 7, season 5 of What's in Your Toolbox. This episode titled Walk for Courage. We're going to find out why, because our guest is involved with an organization, like really involved, and he'll talk a little bit about that. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my guest because I asked him to send me a bio, and he did. So, Sean McMurray is a high-performance sales executive, board leader, and business owner who operates at the intersection of elite enterprise technology and deeply rooted community advocacy. With a 35-year career that spans winning 6 President Clubs awards at TELUS, managing multi-million-dollar sales, and building successful hospitality franchises, Sean is a master of navigating complex operational landscapes, but Sean's professional success is only half the story. Behind his strategic acumen is a profound 24-year journey of sobriety and recovery, a personal milestone that fuels his unwavering dedication to mental health and addiction advocacy. Sean has funneled his life experience and executive leadership into governances that create realistic, systematic impact. For over 7 years, he has served as the board chair for the Canadian Mental Health Association, CMHA, where he has spearheaded critical agency amalgamations, overseen CEO successions, and navigated complex provincial advocacy. Prior to his transformation work with the CMHA, Sean spent 7 years dedicated to grassroots recovery as director of G&B Houses, a vital support recovery home for men. Now, as past chair with the CMHA, he is mentoring new board members to feel connected and grounded for the work and strategic direction ahead. Whether he is brokering elite technology contracts through his firm Blue Mountains Communications or pioneering governance models for regional health services, Sean brings a unique blend of hospitality DNA, sharp business strategy, and authentic empathy to everything he touches. On today's episode, Sean joins us to talk about leadership, the power of long-term recovery, and what it truly takes to build resilient communities from the boardroom to the front lines. Oh my God. You should write my next intro. So without ado, I want to introduce you to my guest, Sean McMurray. Hey, Sean.
Bobby, what a pleasure. And thank you for that warm welcome. I really appreciate that.
Well, listen, I only wrote what you read, but there was a couple of points in it that were key. I threw it away. Let me just get them because you and I were both in the telecommunications business. 24 years of sobriety is incredible. CMHA, I want you to know that I traveled all the way out to Calgary and Kelowna to do some fundraising for the CMHA. I actually have a button, a CMHA button. And the only reason I was out there is I had a connection through one of my partners in Calgary and Red Deer. But now I'm glad that I'm got a connection in Simcoe or Grey Bruce, because that's where we are. I'm at my home office headquarters, world headquarters in Eugenia, and your world headquarters is where?
Thornbury.
There you
Downtown
go.
Thornbury.
There you go. So I think that it's fantastic. So listen, even though we just met each other, I feel like you're a brother from another mother. So tell me a little bit about how we know each other.
Well, I guess it was that random post I saw from the library back in Mental Health Awareness Week. And there was an opportunity to come and talk about mental health in a safe space. And so I grabbed my wife, Jen, and we walked the 2 blocks down to the library and got connected with you there. And that's really where it's been 2 months, maybe. I think it was back in May.
Isn't that wonderful that
Yeah.
you could walk?
Just
I
walk.
mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to get on an airplane and go to a convention center in San Francisco, but you just had to
Yeah.
walk down the street. Listen,
Yeah. It was awesome.
I saw you come in and you had a badge on that said CMHA, and
Yeah.
you sat down and you listened attentively, and then afterwards you asked me a couple of questions, and then you said, look, I'm going to send some information out to some of my past board members, which was great. And here we are. But I can tell you that you were very positive. Your demeanor, I could get rid of my clonazepams and my volumes because you got this incredibly soft, easy demeanor. I don't know what you're like at home, but you clearly have that. And you also sent me a nice note saying how much you liked my newsletter.
Love that. I love getting into work Monday morning and your email lands in my inbox, and I take that few moments and just reflect. And whether it's a recipe or a tidbit, it's awesome.
I've been
So thanks for it's a lot of work doing the newsletter. So I recognize that.
For me, it isn't because it's like journaling. I collect
Very well.
stuff as I go through the week, and that's one of the skills that we have is journaling, right?
Yep.
So for me,
Absolutely.
but you told me that you were the past chair of CMHA, so I know what it stands for. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about CMHA.
So the agency rooted in Grey Bruce. We have offices from Markdale to Owen Sound, of course, Wyerton, Southampton, Kincardine, Hanover, Walkerton, and we deliver community-based mental health programs. We deliver housing. We deliver court support services. We are the feet on the streets, connected with what's really happening in our communities. And whether it's suicide awareness training, which is where we're at today with the Walk for Courage, then just trying to make the world a better place, kind of one conversation at a time. And to be clear on that, the agency exists because of the staff. That's first and foremost the social workers, the assistants, the housing managers, the maintenance managers, the staff are really, truly beautiful humans. And I can't say enough about them when they deliver these services to those people. Tough conversations. People are at their weakest and most vulnerable, and whether it's the homelessness, addicted, or just somebody just struggling to put a couple of nickels together for groceries, it's truly remarkable.
Listen, before we get to talk about the walk, why we're doing this podcast, when I read your intro, it talked about your journey and why you ended up volunteering at the CMHA and becoming the chair. So, you think it's
Yeah,
appropriate? Can we talk a little bit about your journey?
yeah. I had been a regular AA, attended AA in Owen Sound for every Friday night or other so the big book. Anyways, I was at an ANA meeting every week, and my job actually took me away from Owen Sound in different parts of Ontario, and I was just on the road a lot. And I felt like I needed to give back and be connected to the community in AA, and I was really just looking for another outlet. I wanted to serve and be in service, which is why you volunteer. And I saw an opportunity to be involved with G&B House, which is a 90-day treatment facility for men based in Owen Sound. And I joined the board of directors at that point to try to just give back in a different way. I felt like I had some leadership experience. I understood funding from the province and how things get managed from our funders. And that was the ability to be connected again with that recovery community. And that was what the journey, that was back in 2016. It's hard to believe that was 10 years, where we decided as a community that there was 3 organizations that needed to be one because we were all talking to the same person. So we had an organization three different organizations that were doing basically the same thing. One was maybe more focused on housing, one was maybe more focused on recovery. And so we amalgamated those three and we worked really well together. I can't say enough again about when people have a vision and you can articulate that vision from a governance standpoint, anything's possible. And we became an agency under one umbrella back in 2018. And that's when I took the role as board chair up until just this past. We have an AGM every September. So back in September of 2025, I was able to step down after steering the direction, the strategic plan in the right way, and the CEO succession. And I felt that was the time to let somebody else take over and manage the organization from a governance perspective. So that's really at the heart of it. Was just, I felt that I needed to be connected to my community, but I couldn't go to the meetings whether it was a Friday night or a Monday night or a Tuesday night, because my job just took me everywhere. And this allowed me to be connected. And I felt that I was able to give back in a way that helped everybody. Governors govern, the staff do the work. They make us look good at the end of the day. That's what's most important.
So what qualified you to be giving back when I talk about journey was my previous guest, Intrepid Living. She was 20 years sober in September, and she told me she can go anywhere in the world, and her support group is her AA or her 12-step program. So how did you get yourself into your situation, and how did you use it to get to this point?
Yeah, I recognized a pattern in my life back in my 20s and early 30s that I wasn't fun to be around. After I didn't enjoy who I was. So it was a moment in time where I felt that I needed to take hold of my life before it truly became unmanageable. Addiction is one thing, but once you stop drinking, then it becomes like the onion, right? I had a sponsor that once told me it's like peeling an onion. So then you deal with the trauma of why you were at that place. And I really just wanted to just be better for my kids. At the end of the day, that was always my higher power. It was my family. So recognizing that I didn't want to create a legacy of drinking and a drinking culture, which just permeates through our whole society, that one person can make a difference. And that was the reasoning, was my own struggles. And I just didn't want my kids to kind of grow up maybe the way I grew up. And that led me into the rooms of AA, and where I felt like there was a community. To your previous guest, right? Anywhere you are, it can be anyone that's working this through with you. But I felt that I could only go so far in AA. And that's why I decided to get involved and just be an advocate for addiction recovery and mental health in the boardrooms, as opposed to the AA rooms and basement churches.
Listen, you know what? You might as well be addicted to something that's good rather than something that's bad. And it sounds to me like you are addicted to advocacy. And I guess that's where we are right now. So there you are
Yep.
at CMHA, past chair, blah, blah, blah. I'm not blah, blah, blahing it, but why I wanted to have you on was that you told me that you have a fundraiser coming up called Walk for
We do.
Courage. So tell me a
And
little bit about that.
yeah. So the Walk for Courage is actually one of our main fundraisers. It happens on July 25th in Owen Sound and Hanover. It's just walkforcourage.ca. I know you'll post the links on that, and we'll be able to share that in the literature. But really, what the Walk for Courage started as a journey by the Courage family. It's a local Owen Sound family. And of course, they encountered every parent's worst nightmare. In November of 2019, their son, Jeff, their oldest son of Greg and Tanya Courage, he died by suicide at a very young age of 21. He was a third-year political science student at the University of Western Ontario, and he had dreams of becoming a lawyer and eventually running for public office. He was a person like this, and this kid had everything going for him, like everything on the outside. He was also a personal trainer at Owen Sound Fitness and Training and a proud member of Lambda Chi Alpha fraternity, and for someone known for his kindness, humor, and ability to make others feel welcome. I always say to people, there's a very fine line from where we are today to where somebody is in this state. And like many families experience to the loss to suicide, the Courage family wanted to find a way to create something more positive. And they also wanted to prevent it from happening in other families. If you can, much like my own work in AA, is like being open and honest and sharing your stories so that you can, one person, if you just help one person, that's what's most important. So members of Jeff's fraternity and friends at Western, they launched a campaign called the Courage Project. They sold t-shirts that said United Together, and they raised $17,000 in Jeff's memory. And that project just showed how many lives Jeff's touched. And the family then, along with Josh Burnett, the owner of Owen Sound Fitness and Training, and CMHA, we created the first Walk for Courage. And the goal was very simple. The Courage family wanted to just honor Jeff's memory and create a legacy, and also raise awareness. And have what better way to do that than having conversations like this with community members. One of our taglines is, it's okay to not be okay. So that was the simple goal. It was a memorial walk, and it's now grown into one of our largest mental health fundraising initiatives. And we raised over $48,000 last year. And that supports mental health programs and services. So again, participants, you can walk. It starts at Owen Sound Fitness and Training. In Hanover, it's at the Sulphur Spring Conservation Area, or you can just walk out your front door. It's open to anyone, regardless of age or ability. We keep the walk very simple, very flat along the trail in Owen Sound. It's beautiful along the waterfront there, down to the Bayshore Community Center and back again. And the people support, they walk in memory of someone, or simply because they believe that mental health matters. So one of the things we say is you don't have to be an athlete to show up. And why it matters is because mental health touches everybody. And a lot of times, many people have experienced their own mental health challenges. They want to be there to support a family or a friend, or sadly, they've lost somebody to suicide, or they've just struggled with isolation, anxiety, depression, grief, or addiction. It affects us all either directly or indirectly. And that's the Walk for Courage in a nutshell. So we're really grateful for this opportunity to share the story and the awareness to just create conversation. And you don't have to be alone, and just reach out.
Listen,
Yeah.
we are going to have in show notes. There will be a link to it, and anybody that wants to find out about it can definitely find out about it. But it's interesting because I'm 70. So I was in high school when there was grade 13.
Me too.
And then they got rid of grade 13, and people that went in grade 12 went to university. And I don't know, this is just a conversation. Jack.org started. And it was a story about his son being at Queen's University and isolation and coming up with these challenges. And I know that I've had a number of friends whose kids are just too young, too inexperienced to move away and have to deal with the stresses of university. So, do you know what? Is that correct, do you think? Do you think it was the grade 12 to grade 13 that caused a lot of this stuff?
I honestly think it's the stupid cell phones, the social media. People are inward, they're not outward. Nobody's connecting anymore. People aren't getting together with their neighbors. People don't even know who their neighbors are. You're supposed to be social media. I don't believe kids are resilient. I think that's being connected all the time to family and friends. You don't learn how to be resilient, and there's no learning going on with you face a little adversity in your day, you just pick up your phone and call your parents. Or, I think back to when I was young and I moved away at 14. I spent a summer training in the Alps. I had no way of getting in touch with my parents for skiing. I moved west again for the summer when I was, I think, 16 or 17 for 2 months. Long distance was a thing. You couldn't just pick up the phone and call your parents. You had to actually write a letter or wait for the letter to be written. And when you were raised in a time where you just had to deal with that adversity and you had to talk to your friends in order to solve your problems. Now we become more internal. And I've made it a part of my list to be reaching out. I blow my neighbor's snow. I cut her grass. I help my neighbors to the other side. I help like, I know who my neighbors are. We have a neighborhood party every winter. Um, and I believe that community, which is my tagline to my business, is connecting communities, is so vital. And to not feel alone and to feel isolated, maybe the youth, maybe going away so young is part of it. That could be true, but my kids took a year off and they stayed home. They worked full time. They got a taste of what the real world looks like and how little money you make when you do work full time at minimum wage jobs. So that encouraged, of course, higher learning. I think kids that stay back for that year create that resiliency and they're not dependent as much. But yeah, I think it's the phone. I think it's social media.
You and I are both
Honestly.
in the phone business,
Yeah.
Little did we know that it was going to evolve to this. So I don't know you very well. So you were training in the Alps for skiing?
Yeah. I was a ski racer when I was growing up, and I took a summer and went to Sauce Bay and yeah, tried to become a better skier.
Where did you ski out of?
Sauce Bay is
No,
there, but I
in
skied
Ontario.
I was out of London. I grew up in St. Thomas, so it was part of the London ski
Did you know
scene.
that I
Yeah.
taught skiing at Boulder?
Oh, did you
Oh yeah,
really?
when I went to university, I was 10th in Canada for freestyle skiing. I was working for
Wow.
Fisher, and I was part of the Western Ski Club. I graduated in 1977. Did you go to Western?
No, I went to Fanshawe
Oh, you
College,
went to
but I
Fanshawe.
wasn't.
I also taught skiing at Ski High, which is
Wow.
near Fanshawe College, right?
It is. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so
that's amazing.
listen, we're using this time to get to know each other. So, London Ski Club, I'm at Beaver Valley. We still have Newt Domberg here. And there was a couple of level fours that came out of Boulder.
Yeah.
And there you go. We're both skiers, so we're going to have to ski. I'll have to come to Beaver Valley because I still teach skiing here. I still teach
Oh, cool.
kids, and there you go. But what I wanted to talk to you about was because you're a very organized, structured guy. I think, from what I've.
I try to
But
be.
do you think because I want to get back to the whole thing of the 12-step program and AAA. What's tools? Because this is called "What's in Your Toolbox."
Sure.
What tools did it give you, or what tools have you developed to help you deal with your mental health?
I think that for me, the AA journey created a path early days to recognize that you needed to it was work. You had to work it and you had to work the steps in order to get to what others wanted. That's one of the taglines. The community that comes with AA, like community is so important, the importance of connection. So to your point about your guest before, anywhere in the world, anywhere you are, you can go to an AA meeting. Um, I think that's what's really important is that there are people there that genuinely want to help and they want to help you and they want to or others that want to be helped, and the openness of the vulnerability of the AA community is what's great. You get to share stories, you're meeting others who understand, and you feel part of something bigger, right? I think that's so important, is that community, and that's where the to my point earlier about being siloed and just alone and on these stupid phones that I think are just toxic. So the AA journey taught me that you needed others in your life to be sober. It taught me that the higher power doesn't necessarily have to be a religious one. One of the many conversations I have with people that are just coming into AA is the need to feel like a higher power in terms of spirituality and religion. It's what you want to make it to be. Mine is my family. My family is the driving force behind everything I do when it comes to my sobriety. My daughters and what my dad, up until he passed away about a year and a bit ago, and Jen, who you met as well. Yeah, like that to me is the tool, is that I can walk down to that Tuesday night group at the church when I go that way, just down Bruce Street. I don't get there as often as I used to, but that's the importance of it. Um, the tools, I think the sharing, like just being open to share and to say, I'm really not doing 100%. Because if we hold it in, it's just not good. But I think the community piece, I stress upon that so much. Get to know your neighbors. Don't wait for them to knock on your door. Go knock on their door. Take them some cookies, some muffins. Ask them if you can help. And if you can change just one person's day, you've created that community that people so crave.
Listen, one of the things that
Yeah.
I like about talking to you is that I always practice what I preach, but I forget to do it. I have a triad. I have anxiety, OCD, ADD, because I have Tourette's, and sometimes I get depressed and I can't get out of bed. And my girlfriend would say to me, why don't you just practice what you preach and tell all these people what they're supposed to do? So you practice what you preach, because I think you're all about community and family. I call my stuff BAST, Bob's Amazing Support Team. You got to have one of those things and you got to keep growing
Right.
it.
Yep.
And you have a SAST, Sean's Amazing Support Team. So I think you really covered that off. You want to add anything?
Yeah.
You want to add anything to that support team?
I sure do. I have a couple of guy friends that we get together monthly. We go out for dinner and we watch a movie and just sit around the table and shoot the breeze just to keep it PG. But I think that what's important is to have guys need to have connection, because that's an area that creates that loneliness. I really believe that's important too. So we go out for dinner, like I said, once a month. We're actually camping together in a couple of weeks just here in Meaford, and just sitting around a campfire, sharing stories and having a laugh. And that's another support team where my friends, my guy friends, are very important to me.
Well, it's interesting because this whole men's group, Dan Fortopoulos, or whatever, however pronounce his name, is one of the advisors to our charity, and he has a men's group in Collingwood. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but I'm a comedian and I do something stand up with a guy named Joey, and he's part of this men's circle of this men's group. Do you know anything about this?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't. No, I don't.
Because I think men they want to be rough and tough, and they don't want to be vulnerable, right?
That's right. Very true.
And so,
yeah, I think it's being, again, just being connected, for sure. Something to look forward to.
Unfortunately, we're connected, but we're finished being connected on this podcast because we've run out of time. But I want you to know that there will be show notes, and hopefully we'll let lots of people know about the Walk for Courage. And I want to be part of your men's group. I don't drink. I can come wherever you are.
We don't drink either. Yeah,
I bet. I kind of figured that.
I don't drink, but my friends sometimes do.
Okay, I want to be part of this men's group, and I don't want to lose contact with you. So, as I said, we've run out of time. So this is Bobby Coven and
Sean McMurray
saying thank you so much for listening to this episode of What's in Your Toolbox. So everybody, as I finish these podcasts with something that I've read in the newspaper, and I didn't know that this was going to be so relevant, but I picked out that on the 29th of April, 2026, there was an article, always clutch when it counted 4-time Stanley Cup champion, ranks 134th in regular seasons, 9th in the playoff goals. That was about Claude Lemieux. And there one day I saw him carrying the torch in the Forum. And then the next week I heard that he had taken his life. So what I'm telling you about is only the lid knows what goes on in the pot. Just because you can carry a torch through the Forum for the playoffs doesn't mean that you have all these demons and these struggles. And that's exactly what Walk for Courage is and what this podcast is about, and talking an honest discussion on mental health. So, in conclusion, I want to thank Sean so much because we just met and he offered to come on and do this episode, and it will be out in time for you to visit the CMHA website and to find out a little bit about where you can participate in the Walk for Courage. So our next episode, we're going to go to Quebec, and we're going to be talking to an ultra marathon athlete. It's called Hunger for More in Life. So everybody, please subscribe, please share, and please continue on listening to What's in Your Toolbox. Thank you for listening to No Magic Bullet, What's in Your Toolbox. I am not a doctor, but I have lived experience in dealing with the many challenges of mental health. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share with others who will benefit from learning about tools they can use to deal with their own mental health challenges. If we can help just one person, all this effort to bring this podcast to you is worth it.